Hey guys, this is Maria, and today I'll be talking with So my first question for you is, how did the idea of Cool Kibanda come about?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be collaborating with you on this. And as for Cool Kibanda, this idea was birthed when three university classmates came together with a goal to solve a problem in our local community. So back when I was doing my undergraduate degree, I and two of my classmates, we would always go to marketplaces here in Kenya together, and we noticed that there was a huge challenge of food wastage. So here in Kenya, we're living on the equator. The sun is constantly blazing, and because of the effects of climate change, we're feeling the heat even harder. And so we came up with this idea of Cool Kibanda to use a problem to solve another problem. So to use the sun and harness the solar energy in order to preserve fruits and vegetables in marketplaces.
And what do you think is the skill that allowed you to make this happen?
Okay, so I definitely think that the number one skill I had in order to go out and be entrepreneurial is self-confidence. It's the number one skill everyone should have because I believe it helped me to go out and strike up a conversation with literally anyone and be able to turn this conversation into a business deal or a partnership or market research, and just confidence to put myself out there.
Did you always have this self-confidence?
Oh, definitely not. If you were to ask me 5 years ago to stand on a stage and even speak to 10 people, I would definitely have not been able to do it. People who knew me 5 years ago right now, they say that I am not the same person I was before because right now I can get on a stage and speak to 1,000 people, no problem. But back then, I couldn't even speak within my own family.
It's really such a transformation. So what about the
Yeah.
two other integral things to being a social entrepreneur? Discipline and
Okay.
focus. How did
Yeah.
that come about to you?
Oh, for me, discipline and focus came a lot easier than self-confidence. So throughout the education system, I was able to gain these very important skills. Here in Kenya, education is very competitive and you must put in the work, be disciplined and focused. And I think going through this rigorous education system is the way in which I gained these very important transferable skills that enable me to perform at 100% in my social enterprise.
Hmm. I'm talking about
Mm.
learning. So there's a lot to learn when you start your own business. Tell me about how you tackled and that thin line between learning new things and using what you know.
Oh, that's a great question. As you can see behind me, I do a lot of learning, a lot of reading, but for me, it was most challenging to establish a balance between learning and doing. And I think many entrepreneurs face this challenge as they're starting. But personally, I do think that there's some things that you can only learn by doing, but in the same way, on the flip side, there's some things you can only do once you have learned them. So it's establishing a balance of putting the theory into practice and also practicing as you go along in order to learn the theory.
That's true. Theory into practice is often kind of incorporated in every single piece of advice we get. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
really curious if there was a piece of advice that you got throughout your years that really influenced you.
Yes. So early on, when we were creating and building Cool Kibanda, one of our advisors sat us down and told us this sentence, and I've never forgot it, and I implement it in my life every single day. He said, "Ideas are worth nothing. It's your actions that make your ideas valuable." And when he said that, it's like something clicked in my head, because that's so right. As social entrepreneurs, we have all these amazing ideas of how we're going to transform the world and transform our communities. But until we back up these ideas with actions, they just remain simply that, ideas, and those are worth nothing to our communities and to our world until we back them up with action.
Absolutely, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, how did you incorporate this advice into your daily life?
Okay, so as an entrepreneur, I like to say that we don't have a 9 to 5. We have a when we wake up to when we sleep. So it's up to us to establish structure in our daily lives. And for me, the advice that he gave us, I've been able to put it into my routine by doing something I like to call the action list. So my action list is a list of actions that I have to complete by the end of the day. And I split this into three. The first is must do actions. These are the things that I have to do. No matter what happens, this is the bare minimum. And the second is my should do list. And this is things that I should do. In order for me to have a productive day, I should at least get these things ticked off on my to-do list. And number three is the things that I can do. I don't have to do them today, but if I can do them today, that will be great. It will leave me feeling accomplished. And there's a reason I'm calling it an action list and not a to-do list, because the actions are the ones driving me. To-do list is like, I have to do this, but action list is I get to do this. And so I set my intentions out for the day through this action list, and that's how I'm constantly turning my ideas of how to transform the world into tangible actions.
I'm going to start doing this action list every day. Like, this is really practical, and I'm guilty of doing endless to-do lists that sometimes happen, sometimes don't. So this is really, really practical advice. So actually, now I want to take the time to go into our section called "It Wasn't a Piece of Cake." And I've asked you
Ooh.
to bring something sweet for yourself for this time, because now I really want to hear from you about the greatest challenge that you faced throughout your impact journey. Tell me more about this and how it kind of influenced you.
So for this segment, I got myself some Oreo. I love Oreos, and I'll tell you the part of this journey that was not a piece of cake. And it was when we were called and we were able to go to London for a 6-week accelerator program. So what happened was we had essentially a curriculum that was a 2-year MBA squeezed into 6 weeks. And those were the toughest 6 weeks of my life.
Mm.
I loved it. It taught me how to grow and to pivot and to evolve and iterate. And it challenged me in every way possible. At that time, during those 6 weeks, I was still a full-time student. I was taking all of my classes online for the very first time. I really wish I knew what I know now back then. And if I was to speak to my younger self, I'd say this very simple thing: speak up. Your voice really matters. You deserve to be heard. Your opinions should be shared. Your ideas are amazing. And there's no way other people are going to know about them until you actually speak up. And the thing is, all this confidence, I already had it in me. I just had to tap into it. And so that would be my advice to my younger self.
Younger people that have the ideas but don't know how to make them happen. What would you say to those young people?
I'd say stop waiting for the right opportunity and the right time to make things happen. The best thing you can do for yourself is to start now, start where you are, and start with what you have. Because we have gotten into a habit of being perfectionists and waiting until everything is right until we start something. But if I had done the same thing and waited for the perfect opportunity to start Cool Kibanda, I probably would not have started it up until now. So start now, start with what you have. And at your very young age, there's so many people rooting for you and willing to support you. So take full advantage of that.
What do you think is the recipe for finding your passion?
Oh, I love that recipe for finding your passion, because really the best way to actually find your passion is to try different things. If you have an inkling that you're interested in journalism and leadership and debating, try all these things out. You'll never know until you actually try them out. So you go out there, young people, and try this, try that, try the other. Because at the end of the day, I say university is not about the degree you end up pursuing, the piece of paper. It's about giving you an opportunity to try new things out.
Precisely that. And do you think that, trying different things helps you get good ideas? What makes a good idea?
Oh, love that. Trying new things is definitely an amazing avenue to go about it because it gives you a skill called applied curiosity. So within ourselves, we have curiosity within our minds and we have all these ideas that we come up with. But the only way to come up with a suitable solution that will actually transform the world and transform the community is if we take this curiosity within our minds and we apply it to real life situations. And so it's about taking the curiosity up here, going out into the world and applying it with real life situations. Applied curiosity. That's how to go about it.
You work a lot with young people and do a lot of mentorship programs. What do you say to young people now?
I like to tell them that you have the potential to catalyze change within you, but you have to make the active decision to tap into that in order to actually make massive change. Don't sit around with those amazing, brilliant ideas you have. The world needs them. Tap into that and bring it forth.
That's so true. That's so true. And do you think risk taking is like essential?
Everywhere I go, I love telling social entrepreneurs when they ask me, what are the key skills that you need as a social entrepreneur? And my number one is risk taking. I like to think of entrepreneurship as a person jumping off a cliff and then trying to find their parachute on the way down. Because in order to make change that no one else has made, you have to make leaps that no one else has also made.
Absolutely. Well, this is a brilliant list of advice that you gave us. But to wrap it up, I would like to ask you, what
Mhm.
is the number one thing that, like a skill, and that all social entrepreneurs need to have for you?
Sure. One of the most underrated skills or characteristics that entrepreneurs need, they really need, is this right here, what we're doing right now. It's storytelling. We're living in an age where people are no longer buying products and goods and services. They're buying stories, they're buying into ideas and behind the actual brand. And so I think it's very important to be a good storyteller, because wherever you go, you need to be telling your story, whether you're pitching to an investor or you're trying to get your local community on board or to get your first set of clients. What will win them over is your story. So go out there and be amazing storytellers.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I couldn't thank you more for your time and for this conversation. I hope that you have an amazing day ahead and really wish you luck with your enterprise.
Thank you so much, Maria, for having me. I've absolutely loved it. And I wish you all the best as you continue to spread impact in this unique way. We need way more people like you.